What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel, The Jewish Catholic. For today's video, we're going to take a little bit of a more casual approach as I'm going to be sharing my first book review. So stick tuned for that. But before we go ahead and dig into the video, if you're not yet part of the family, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Because in this channel, we talk all things Torah, Halakha, Jewish thought, and more. If you end up enjoying this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up because it really does help the video and the channel. And of course, if you find that the video is share-worthy, make sure you share it with your friends and family. Alright, let's go! The idea for this video comes directly from suggestions on my Instagram page, which if you're not following, you definitely have to go ahead and do that. So it's right over here, same name as the channel. It's The Jewish Catholic. So again, follow me there on Instagram because over there I'm always taking questions from you guys and I'm a little bit more active than I would be here on YouTube. And in that's where I got so many requests from people asking me to talk about this book that we're going to be talking about today. And you saw it right there on the title. It's The Little Office of Baltimore. In a previous video of mine where I was talking about my prayer routine, I talked about this book and I gave a little bit of insight about it. But today we're going to dig into it a little bit more, talking about how to navigate it, how I like it, and why I use it. So let's go ahead and talk about it. The creators of this book, The Little Office of Baltimore, are the same folks that created the Catechism of Baltimore, or the Baltimore Catechism. That right there should let you know, if you're a Catholic that loves learning about the Catechism, you'll understand that this is one of the most admired sets in the Catechism world. There are different forms, like for example, the Catechism of the Catholic Church, the Catechism of St. Pope Pius X. I think even Thomas Aquinas has his own catechism, but the Baltimore Catechism is one that at least in America is really, really appreciated. All that to say that this book, The Little Office of Baltimore, is very much in that same standard of quality. So talking about quality, let's talk first about the physical aspects of this book. The way that it's made, it looks like quality. It feels like quality. It even smells like quality. It's made out of a sort of leather-ish material. I don't know if it actually is leather or not, but regardless of whether it is or not, it really does feel well made. The binding is not a glued-on style. It's actually stitched on. I forgot what the actual term for that is, but it's really sturdy. It looks like it's not gonna fall apart for many, many years after usage. It comes with a set of 3 ribbons. As you can see here, it's got a golden one, a red one, and a black one, which if I'm not mistaken, those are the colors for Baltimore. Now, the ribbons that came with it were pretty long. I ended up chopping them up because I just don't like long ribbons. And then I kind of put a little bit of fire on the ends so that it doesn't keep the hairiness of them and it doesn't continue to unthread. So yeah, that's the ribbons. The font within these pages is also quite legible. In my opinion, it's not a struggle. It shouldn't be a struggle for anybody. The font is a pretty good size. It's a beautiful looking font. And it's simply made in black and red lettering, and it matters, and we'll go into why now. Most of the headings and directions in this book are typed in red. When it comes to the actual prayers and the psalms, those will be in black. As soon as you open this book, once you get past the table of contents, you're going to go ahead and go into the introduction, which I suggest reading. I don't know about you guys, but for me, every single book that I get, I always have to read the introduction. I need to understand a little bit more of the background, specifically what the authors had in mind when they composed the book, when they wrote it, if the editor said anything, or if there's anything written as a forehand for a book. As for the table of contents, it's a section that you're probably going to be using all the time because it's going to guide you throughout the year, letting you know the different sections. Now, there are a couple of main sections. For example, we have the daily offices. Those are the 8 different hours of prayers. So the hours go as follows: Matins, Lauds, Prime, Terce, Sext, Non, Vespers, Compline. After this, the next main section is going to be the propers of the seasons. So that basically means those are prayers that are made for the specific seasons within the liturgical calendar of the Catholic Church. So for example, we have Advent, Christmastide, Epiphany, things as such. After that, the next main section is called For Saints and Angels. So this includes prayers like this: for the Blessed Virgin Mary, for the holy angels, for the church and the saints. And then the last section you're going to find is Psalms for various occasions. If you know me, and if you noticed from my previous video that I made in regards to prayer, you will know that I love the Psalms, the Tehillim, because they are the ancient prayers that have been prayed by the people of God for thousands of years. And to continue that, it basically proves what we've been talking about in this channel, which is the fact that the Catholic Church really is the continuation of the ancient Jewish faith, or Temple Judaism. Now, let's go ahead and break down into how we actually use this book. When I first got into this, I wanted to basically understand how the Catholic Church prays. I know that there's different type of prayers out there, like the Hail Mary, the Our Father, prayers that are quite common. And of course, the Rosary. But I, coming from the Jewish world, I was used to reading from books called Sidurim. That's the plural, and then the singular is Sidur. An example of that is this Sidur that I have here. It basically contains prayers mainly for Shabbat, but it has prayers for all the feasts, and it also contains the Tehillim, the Psalms. And the reason why I love using these type of books is because it helps you guide your prayers throughout the years, throughout the months, throughout the weeks, and throughout each day and the hours of the day. So it helps give structure to your prayer life. This is not to say that we shouldn't have spontaneous prayers that come from the heart at random times, whenever you feel like praying. That's not what this is about. So I hope nobody in the comments is going to be like, oh, what about praying from your heart? Yes, obviously I know that. But these are prayers that really do help in case that you're trying to become more structural in your prayer. And I will say this, when you have structure, it makes sure that you're always praying and that you remain prayerful. All that to say that Sidurim is what I was used to. So I wanted something similar. And then as I was researching, I found out about this thing called the Divine Office. The Divine Office is basically something similar to the Sidurim, which is basically prayers that are done for specific times of the day, of the year, following a liturgical calendar. And the Divine Office does the same thing. The Divine Office does also have another name, and that's the Liturgy of the Hours. And they call it that because of the fact that it is a set of prayers that in each day is split into those 8 main hours that we spoke about before. These are prayers that bishops and priests and the religious do every single day, and they have to do these prayers. They have to partake in them. But the church also invites the lay folk to also take part of this. When the laity takes part in these prayers, it makes the whole body unified in the same form of prayer, which is what I really, really love about these things. Because similarly, in the Jewish world, when we're all praying these daily prayers, it's not just an individual, because we remember that we're not just individuals in the faith. We are a community, we're a family, and in fact, the scriptures tells us that we are a body. And a body that prays in unison is successful and efficient in their prayers. Now, for us, the laity, it might be really, really hard to partake in all the 8 hours of the prayers, which is why many Catholics only pray morning and evening prayers. Some folks laud in the matins. I am a prime and compline type of Catholic. So that means that for me, my prayers are going to be done around 6-ish in the morning and then around 8 at night. And I found a great source to kind of get an idea of where the prayers go, what hour range. And I want to plug this blog right here. You're going to see it right here. It's called RomanRoots.com. I also follow this individual in Instagram. In her tag there is Our Roman Roots. So definitely make sure to give her a follow. She's basically the person that helped me to get the beginning understanding of this book, which was really necessary for me because when I jumped into it, it really looked like a puzzle. So I'm gonna now try to help you guys understand this a little bit better because it can be confusing. Again, the first thing to understand is that there is such a thing as a liturgical calendar. So that means that there are prayers that change throughout the seasons. This is where it is important that you have access to a Catholic calendar. What I have been using now is a website that was provided to me by a follower on Instagram, and that's VaticanCatholic.com. In this website, you will see that there is a calendar that you can follow, and when you read it, it will let you know what Sunday you're in or what part of the year you're in. And that's important because when you're trying to do certain prayers like the Vespers and the propers of the season, is really important to know where those are. But aside from those prayers that are changed throughout the year, it's really important to know that it's not that difficult to maintain the other prayers. The prayers that change throughout the seasons and throughout the weeks, like the collect and the proper of the seasons, those are the ones that you need the calendar for. But like I said before, I pray the prime and the compline prayers for the morning and for the evening prayers. And it's pretty much a super straightforward structure. And that's where this becomes a little less intimidating than praying the actual full version of the Liturgy of the Hours. The Liturgy of the Hours comes in a 4-book volume set. And it's amazing. A lot of people love it. But if you're just jumping into these things, it might be a little bit overwhelming. For a book like this, it's going to be really easy and there's not much flipping back and forth through the book to try to find where you're at. So let's go ahead and give an example of what I mean. When you open up to the section of the prime, you will see that at the very top in red, it tells you to read and pray the Our Father, a Hail Mary, and I Believe, which is basically the Apostles' Creed. And then from there, you just literally read through it. Whatever it tells you to pray, you pray. And then there's going to be specific directions. So right now I'm turning to a page, this is page 44, and it says that then follow the Psalms, which are under the antiphon for Sunday. And then it says one that is for weekdays. All that means is basically that when you get to that area, you're going to be reading some Psalms, some Tehillim. But then there's an antiphon, which is basically a preface to reading the Psalms. So what you would do in that case, like it says here, for Sundays, you read that section for Sunday. But if you're in a weekday, then you're going to read the one that says for weekdays. Again, super straightforward. Then you go through the Psalms. Then you're going to get to this section, for example, right here in the prime that says the Creed of Saint Athanasius. And this one is only read on Sundays. So what do you think you're going to do? Precisely, you just skip it and keep going till the next section that it tells you what to do. And in this case, it gives you the antiphon for the weekdays. So you read that. Then it tells you literally, then is said the chapter, which is a title for a little section that comes from either the scriptures or it could be something like a short lesson, which also usually comes from scripture. And as you keep reading through it, you just need to basically pay attention to the red font because what it is going to be the directions of what you're going to pray next. When you pray through it, this section, the prime, should take you maybe 18, 20 minutes. Maybe if you're a fast reader, it might take you only 15 minutes to read through that section. The compline prayers, which are done in the evening, are also a longer version, which takes around 20 minutes of prayer. In between, if I ever have time, which is usually when I get out of work, if I get out of work early, I might be reading the sext or the non-prayers. When I go to those prayers are super short, literally takes you around 5 minutes, and same procedure. You just open up to that office, aka that hour, and you read through it, and it only takes you about 5 minutes. You get the prayers done, and it feels great to, again, be partaking in these set of prayers, but it's really not overwhelming. The only time that I have to go to another page where I have to flip through the book is in those midday prayers because it asks you, for example, let me see if I can find it. Okay, I don't know if you'll be able to see this in the book, but then you have a section that says the little chapter, and when you go down a little bit more, the next red font instruction says, here is said the proper collect of the day, which means you're going to flip to the back to the section where it has all of the different collects. So now we know it's the 22nd Sunday after Pentecost, because again, I was able to check that in the calendar. I know it sounds a little bit confusing, but it's really not. You just know what week you're on, and then you will follow along in the next week. So right now that we're on the 22nd, I will flip to that page that says the 22nd Sunday after Pentecost. So in that section where it told me to read the collect of the day, all I'm going to do is just go to that section, 22nd Sunday after Pentecost, read it. It's like a small paragraph, and then I flip back and continue my prayers until the next title for the next hour appears. That's where you don't read that one unless you're going to pray that hour. So it's very straightforward. It's not complicated at all. And I know that I'm perhaps not doing it justice in explaining. Again, this is my very first book review. So perhaps I'm a little bit rusty, but maybe as I do these, I will get better at it. If you want an extra resource, like I mentioned earlier in this video, I suggest going to romanroots.com. Right there, you're going to definitely find a written down, more helpful guide for how to begin praying the little office of Baltimore. If you want more structure in your prayer life, if you want to be able to participate in the wide range of beautiful prayers that the church partakes on every day throughout the whole year, then this is a great place to start. If you feel brave and you want to go ahead and jump into the 4-volume set, which is the Divine Office, go ahead and do that. But again, for me, I think this is perfect, especially because I still pray my Siddur and I still use other prayer books, which I'm going to be showing on my Instagram. So again, make sure to follow me there. All right, folks, that's just my small review of this book, The Little Office of Baltimore. I hope you enjoyed it. It's a really good, handy book. I take it with me everywhere because if I have some time for prayer, then it's useful to have it. Anyway, I hope that this video blesses you, and I hope that this book blesses your life. Let me know if you end up getting it, if you've used it, if you've used any of the other Catholic prayers. Let me know what you pray on a daily basis down in the comment section below. All right, folks, have a blessed week. Shalom.